Alright, so what we have here is a Pulsar 4500, 3700 watt rated generator. Some of the recently, the reason I'm filming this is under a load, it would randomly cut off, or is randomly cutting off. And when it doesn't cut off and it's under a load and it's bogged down, you can kind of hear it oscillating a little bit. We're at almost 8,000 foot above sea level in Colorado. I have rejetted this about 2 months ago. So it is running a little bit leaner now, which it ran great when I did that. Just did an oil change on it a few days ago. So I suspect the plug might be getting fouled up from the months of running it before I rejetted it. And the owner's manual says you're supposed to change the oil like every 50 hours or something, but it says you're supposed to change the spark plug every 100 hours, which that's not going to happen. But being that this is a Chinese Honda clone, they normally don't put real high quality parts in there. I had added this hour meter, so we are at 327 hours. I've never done an oil change on. I mean, I've done oil changes. I've never done a spark plug. I'm just trying to get it working. It's acting up.
Okay. Shoe catalog.
Shoe catalog.
Shoe catalog. Jewelry catalog for the solar. Shoe catalog for the generator.
All right. So she thinks I'm looking for a reason to spend money. So the whole reason we have this generator is, all right, most of the year we don't need it. The house is on solar, but in the winter, the sun's further down in the sky, you're not getting as much solar power, and you're running the furnace. We don't even have an AC on this house because it's not needed. So you're running the furnace, so you're using more power than normal. So you have to use this in the wintertime on cloudy days. So let's, like I was saying a minute ago before she got in on the shoe stuff. I've never done spark plugging this. I've done oil changes a lot. I stay on top of the oil. So let's open her up. Got a couple different spark plug sockets. Like what I'm saying, I'm thinking the plug's probably just fouled up. I went ahead and ordered a plug on Amazon because being it's supposed to be done at 100 hours and I'm at 300 something hours. Even if I can clean this plug up, it needs to be changed probably. Turn this light back on. General lighting. This just pops off. Goes on top. Let me see if I get a view. So here's what we're going to be doing. That's spark plug wire. I'll pull that boot off. Pretty stuck on there. Oh shit. I mean shoot. So, okay, well, part of the plastic just broke. Hang on a second. A little plastic boot. Part of it's broke. I don't think this would cause it to misfire because it was snapped onto the spark plug. Part of the hard plastic boot. Ooh, so there's another piece. Let me show you what I've got going on. Try not to put too much light in here. So here's the, where'd it go? Couldn't have went far. Here's the spark plug wire housing. You can see how that's broke off. This boot right here is a rubber insulated boot to keep it from shorting out against the valve cover. That looks fine. So there's a spark plug. Ooh, what is that? I don't know if you can see that. See it on top of that? There's a little bit of black. Almost looks like a crack. I've cracked spark plugs years ago, but not in a generator. Let me see. This is a 13/16. That looks like that might be it. Doesn't quite fit in there. Put this over here. Lighting in this garage isn't that great. That didn't take too much force. Stick on a little bit. Let me get this out of here. Like I said, I haven't run it today, so it's not hot or anything. It was acting up last night. It kept shutting off and it, acting worse than normal. And normally it's been pretty reliable. Kind of hard to get in here around this. Like I said, I had a black line on the ceramic. It's hard to tell though. It's too far in there to really get a good look. Probably just fouled out. I'll clean it and put it back in. Hopefully that's all it is. There we go. All right, doesn't look too bad for 100 hours. Oh, what's that right there? Get a good view of that. Looks like a big old crack right there. And that's actually what I was looking at. So we get a view of that. So if you get a crack in your ceramic, it will definitely cause issues. I had this on the truck years ago, and it was misfiring all the time, and all it was a little crack on a little tiny crack in the ceramic. That's a pretty good sized crack. Yeah, so this is a F7TC, so that's a Torch brand. That's a Chinese brand, and then like I said, most of these are Honda clones. So I already ordered a spark plug for this, but I ordered an NGK, and it'll probably be good for 500 hours after that. Let me see, since this is not usable, and I need to use this generator tonight. I'm gonna look over my. I used to have a Honda generator a long time ago, a bigger one. Let me go see what I got over here. And my bucket. There's Honda parts over here. I'll check this out. So this, I just found this. This is essentially the same boot. This piece right here is cracked on this one, but it's connected to your coil. So unless I want to take this whole thing apart, I'm going to try and not do that. I don't even know if what engine this goes to. It probably goes to a Honda. And these are Honda clones, so a lot of times you can use Honda parts on them, but that's what we're looking at. But I did find a spark plug. So this is not the correct plug for this application, but if it works for a couple days till I get the other ones in. So you can see this Autolite, which is a decent brand. Different size nut on it. So first appearances, it's not even going to work. But if you look at the depth also, because if it's a longer plug, it hit the piston. So line those up to the same length. We're going to check the threads. They mesh in perfectly, so it's the same thread pitch. So I'm thinking this will work. Different size socket. Here's my other spark plug socket. That fits it. So let's put this one in here. See if I can get this one in. Actually, I want to put something on those threads. something over here. This is thread sealer on there. So I'm gonna get some never sees to put on these threads when I get the new spark plug in. This is gonna just be temporary, but I got some dielectric grease. I can put these on the threads just to kind of help keep it from galling. Dielectric grease is something you normally put in a spark plug boot. It's like Vaseline, but it is made to help conduct electricity or allow it, not to inhibit it. Kind of feels like lotion. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this on the threads since this is coming out in a couple days. And I just want to keep anything from going up. Okay. Little rag. You don't want any of this getting on the electrode because, where's that? You don't want it to cause a foul. This in here. And what I'll do is I'll manually turn this engine over with the pull start real slow just to validate, since this is not the factory or even called for as a replacement spark plug, that we don't have something that's going to hit the piston and cause it tear the engine up. Worst case, it will run worse, which I don't see how it can run worse than a cracked spark plug. This would explain why it's been running weird lately, though. This in here. Come on. Problem is getting this boot back on if it's going to sit with those broken pieces. If it's going to snap into place. And those are there for a reason, to keep the arc from jumping to places it's not supposed to. We'll see. I think I got an idea. I have some heat shrink also. I might put a little heat shrink on the boot just to kind of keep it from. Okay, that is in there now. So I'm going to manually turn this engine over. It's electric start, but also has this manual pull start, which I've had to use on really cold mornings. So I'm going to turn the engine. I'm getting complete engine revolution. All right, it's at least not hitting. So next, I want to try and tackle what am I going to do about this. See where that's chipped? I'm going to put a piece of heat shrink on here, I think. The problem is this boot right here. My concern is this boot. Let me put it back in and I'll show you what I'm thinking. This boot goes in here like that. It fits around the other spark plug, so that's good. Without this boot, you would have easily get electrical arcing on the valve cover. But that ain't good. So I got to get a piece of heat shrink that's going to fit in between the two. And it's a pretty snug fit. I don't know if you can see that. So I don't know. I don't think I got any heat shrink that's going to fit in between those two. Not like, make it look. Oh, okay. I have this, but I don't think this is going to work. I mean, heat shrink does shrink down a lot, but let me get rid of this. Problem is, if I put this over here, cut a piece off, I gotta get it to fit in there. I might try that though. See what it looks like, right? I can always cut it off if I don't like it. So heat shrink, I'm going to cut off about 1 inch of it. Just trying to make a sleeve. Alright, so what we want is this is going to go on to here. Just barely, not even sticking past that. I'm just trying to fill this gap right here. And it wasn't longer than that before, so we want to put it right there, see what happens. So I got a heat gun on the wall. Let's see how this works. Another thing is, my batteries aren't that full in the house, so if I keep using a lot of electricity before I get this generator going, I might be in a bind. We do have a bigger generator outside we can run. It's just loud and burns a lot more fuel. We don't want to use it if we don't have to. It's the one we usually use for the well. This one being single phase and only really so. It's rated at 3,700 running watts, right? We're at 8,000 foot. So what that means is you lose like 20% because of the altitude, or more like a 3,000 watt generator. So I have some needle and pliers over here. So we get this light going right here. This, turn this heat gun on. If I start putting heat to this heat shrink, it's going to start cranking up, so I'm going to not do it till I'm ready. Gosh dang it. I'm going to heat my coffee up with it. Plastic's brittle, so I'm afraid to pull on it and break something else. Crank it up. It's on the cooling cycle now. Alrighty. I'll put a little dielectric grease right here on the tip. I mean, like a little. Should help that out. Hopefully, this dang thing's gonna want to go in there. Now that heat shrink is a little bit thicker than what I was counting on. Yikes. I'd put some dielectric grease in there, but I'm afraid if I do, it's gonna aid it in shorting out. Alright, let me. This is not. Where is that? That's right there. Gotta feel it snap in. That is not working the way I was hoping it would. Might be too thick. It's on the very bottom. I'll let that go on there. Well, almost. Let me pull this boot off for a second. Make sure the boot's going to fit around here. It does. I don't want to put any dielectric. I'm going to have to, but I don't want to. I'll put a little bit on this boot. Just till I get this slid in. That slid in. Slides in there now. That snapped down where it needs to be. Get this light because I cannot see. Small light. Part of the problem is it's not lining up. That almost felt like it went on that time. Let me move this back out of the way for a minute. Oh, it feels like it's going on and popping off. The red boot that I put on there is making it pop off. Alright, well that ain't gonna work. We tried. I'm gonna pop this red boot off. This is too thick. That's just, it was a good idea, but it didn't work. It's too thick. It's causing an issue. So let me wipe this off. And I'm gonna start melting. Alright, kind of feels like it's on there. I didn't really, it went on when when you put a spark plug wire on, you feel that click. It's on there pretty good now. Yeah, it's on there good now. Alright, let me show you what I got. Alright, so we're going to test fire, and I'm in the garage, so I don't want to, let me open the garage door. Slide it outside. Alright. Move everything that's going to fall off when this thing cranks up. Alright, did the Honda spark plug work? Fuel's already on, hit the start button. Shut her off, put the side on. This thing is ate up with these bolts everywhere, and I had this piece off a couple weeks ago. Alright. This just pops on. glad I go ahead. I'm glad I already ordered that spark plug today, just guessing it was fouled out and old. When we come to find out it was cracked, and that you can't even you could clean it up if it was just fouled out. But it's a Chinese brand spark plug. I guess they work good for 100 hours, but I'm pushing 300 hours on this machine, and it's didn't make it. Like I said, the NGK is what I ordered. It'll probably last 500 hours. I'm not changing a spark plug every 100 hours. That's ridiculous. Now the wife can order some more shoes, I guess. It's Christmas time, so she's doing her shopping. It is December of 2022. Now I gotta hook this up to the house and get it running. Like I said, it's just charged batteries. Alright, that's all we got. This was a Pulsar model G450 RN. I've had it for about 2 years, but the first year we hardly ever used it. It's been a good generator, but all these Chinese generators, they run great at first. And we had a Honda that ran 6 years without missing a beat. I don't know how many hours I had on it, but probably over 1,000. These Chinese generators work good, but what you'll find out is after you get some age on them, like the carburetor bowl a couple weeks ago stuck down, so it kept filling up with fuel and it was running over, started leaking when the generator wasn't running. It was leaking out the carburetor. The spark plug, I should have changed it at 100 hours with the NGK. That issue. What's another issue? We had another little issue with this generator. I had to rejet it, but that's just because we're at altitude. You just got to stay on top of them. They don't, stay on top of the oil changes, spark plugs. It's not going to last as long as a Honda.